Hey everyone. How's it going? I'm not sure who's there. I don't know why I can't see the Hey everyone. Having a little technical difficulty getting started tonight, so bear with me. I just was having some issues with the link that I was posting into the description, so I'm hoping that has worked out. Yep, so I'm just going to share this to my personal page like I do each time. Hey Bruce, and then we'll get started. Cool. All right. Hey, Joseph. Okay, I keep disappearing because I was just putting that that little iPad away. So welcome everyone. This is the 4th installment. So it is July 10th, and I can tell you a little bit about what's going on in Provincetown before we get started. So, you know, I'm starting to get used to this new strange life, and people are getting used to it too. So there's a lot more compliance in the last, I don't know, I'd say 4 or 5 days. Like last weekend, which was 4th of July, it was pretty crazy. There were a lot of people who weren't complying with our mask ordinance and not trying to socially distance, but it was very crowded, and now this time it's not as crowded, so it's much more manageable. People are wearing masks. We have ambassadors now on the street that are reminding people to wear their masks and handing out free masks. So that's good. I'm still limited to having a total of 3 people in my studio, and they have to wear masks, and I am telling them to please, you know, raise their mask up, and it's working out. I mean, like I said, I'm just getting a little more used to it. So anyway, I want to get started. This is Vivid Tranquility 3. So I'm James Frederick. This is Frederick Studio Provincetown. And if you don't know me, I'm an artist. I live here in Provincetown. I'm a cartoonist, an illustrator, and a painter. I paint on wood panels, which we went through last week. And I do abstract paintings, and I do more representational work as well on canvas. So tonight is Vivid Tranquility 3, and it's basically an extension of work that I've been doing for a few years, and I thought it might be interesting for me to tell you a little bit about the genesis of the work. So in 2018, I decided to do a body of work that I called Unscaped, which was basically me deconstructing landscapes, so that's why it's called Unscaped. And it was really, I was working from photos a lot of times, looking at kind of landmarks of Provincetown and deconstructing them a bit. So, you know, like I might be looking at a photograph of the breakwater and painting kind of a linear thing that looks like the breakwater, but maybe it's in a different color or a different light. So anyway, I did a lot of kind of more scenic views that were, again, deconstructed, and you kind of got a sense of what they were, but not really. But there were some visual cues. So in that regard, I would call that referential work as well. But then to kind of dig a little deeper, that same year, I did a body of work that was called Vivid Tranquility, and it was really because I was thinking about the beauty of Cape Cod and how it speaks so loudly, like it's just stunning. It's vivid, but it's this calming, gorgeous, like softness that is speaking at a loud level. So that's where the name Vivid Tranquility came from. And so I focused a little bit more in that body of work on the beauty of the nature around here versus like built objects. And you know, it was really popular. The show was great, sold a lot of great pieces, like really quick. And sometimes when I sell work that quick, I think, oh my God, I wish I could have looked at that for a little longer. But so it was really good. And I followed up a few weeks later, actually, I think it was a month later, I did a new body of work that was in the same vein. So that was Vivid Tranquility 2, and then last year I did a body of work called Splendor, which began to kind of continue to work on that same theme. So these works are abstract, you know, they reference what it is that I'm thinking of, but I don't look at photographs when I paint this work. I really think about the feeling of being in these places, you know, or being surrounded by that beauty I was talking about, and the kind of level of serenity and calmness and just the connection that I feel. So they are, again, abstract, but a little referential, and I think that you can kind of get from much of these paintings where I was going. You know, the titles, again, just like in my other abstract work that we went through a few weeks ago, do give away a little bit of what I was thinking. So to promote this show, I was using an image called Ebb, which is right here behind me. So Ebb is a piece that I painted last year, but I used it to do the press releases for the show because it's in the same spirit of the work that I'm working on. But Ebb is part of a 12-panel presentation that you probably saw in one of my other live videos, but it's really in the colorway. So this whole body of work was inspired by Cape Cod and by the beauty here. And so it's also a great representation of the way that I do what I call my brush dragging, which is really when I just take a brush and I dabble paint and I do a little bit of dragging of the paint, and I just love the tension that is created between the fabric or the tooth of the canvas and the paint itself. So I wanted to start off with this piece because you all saw this in the invitation, and it was used by the press in my press release. But this one's called Ebb. It's 16 by 16. If you go to my website to look for any of these pieces, just go to the paintings tab, and then you can see all the individual pieces. There's only 6 pieces that I'm showing you that are new pieces of Vivid Tranquility, and they one of them is a huge. There are a lot larger pieces, and hey Tina, and. So anyway, if you go to my website and you like a piece, there's a link so that you can get right from the website painting tab to the online store and grab it before someone else does. So there's, again, 5 smaller pieces, and then at the end we'll go, I'll have to adjust the camera a little bit and the lights so that you can take in this much larger piece that actually you may have seen in a sneak preview last week when we were doing the wood panels, because the camera flipped the wrong way and I was like, oh, you weren't supposed to see that. So anyway, you may have had a preview. So I'm going to use this tripod like I have in the past, and I'm going to be wiggling it around so that you can see all these pieces, okay? So this piece is 18 by 18, and I call it Swell. And it is in this antique silver floating frame. There's a lot of movement involved with this piece, and you can kind of glimmer from the title that it has a bit to do with the surf, with the water. So this one's called Swell. And the next piece, I'm realizing now that you can actually see part of the next piece in the same frame. So that's kind of wacky. But anyway, I'll show you the next piece here. So this piece, let me adjust the camera a little bit, is called Sea Spray. It's 22 by 28, and it is in the same frame that we just talked about. And it's really a bit monochromatic. It's really that moment of like being kind of in the water and just the intensity of it all. I see a lot of light in all of my work that's kind of in this vein, and how it affects the water is really a big, important part of this. So that is sea spray. And we'll just move on down the road. I'm looking to see if there's any questions. Hey, Darren. So Darren Jones is a fabulous artist from Chicago, and he was actually going to be showing his work here in my studio tonight was the plan, and have it up for a couple weekends. So we're hoping that we'll be able to do that next year. You know, with all of this craziness and me being able to let a few people in here, it didn't make sense for me to have guest artists. So we are talking about doing some sort of a virtual thing that we'll be able to get together and share some of our work at the same time. But this was going to be his night. But anyway, enough about Darren, even though we love Darren's work. Let's look at this next piece. So this is called Amber Afternoon. And it's on a deeper canvas, and so it's on a little bit chunkier floating frame, and it is wood, but it has a German silver finish on it. And this piece is 30 by 30. And for me, if you want a little bit of information about where I was, is, you know, those afternoons at the beach here in Provincetown, or anywhere on the Cape where the sun has just been really amazing, and you get that little bit of coolness, you know, from the water, but you get that kind of warmth that emanates from the sand and the dunes. So let's see, there's a question. Where is your online shop under your name studio? So in the description of this live feed, Tina, there's a link that clicks to my website, and it actually takes you to the paintings page. And then any of the paintings, there's a little link when you click on the painting that takes you to the store. Or you can just go back to the main homepage of that website, frederickstudioprovincetown.com, and click shop, and that is the store. So that is Amber Afternoon. And I'm going to keep on moving. I don't see any specific questions. So this piece, I love this piece. This piece is called Summer, and let me get this adjusted a little bit better. There we go. So this piece is called Summer, and it's the same size as the last one we saw in the same framing, but it's 30 by 30, and it's called Summer. You might hear some loud children screaming out here outside of the studio. This is going to be more and more interesting as the season progresses, because there'll be more and more people here. But this piece is called Summer, and it's really just that feeling of the glory of being here in the summer, being near the water, what it's like. So I see a lot of orange in the light here and the way that it reflects things and onto things. So this piece, again, is called Summer. And I have a little piece over here to show you. This piece is 18 by 18, so it's not that little. But I'm loving the energy of this piece. This, oh my God, what's going on? Here we go. Sorry for the jiggly camera. So this piece is called Splendor. And it was really conjuring up that feeling of being at the beach at that beautiful moment when the sky starts to change and become this otherworldly like display where you're just like, wow, you know, the splendor of it all. So it's 18 by 18, and it's framed like the first couple that we saw in this show. It's the antique silver-faced wood floating frame. So that one is Splendor. And if there's any questions, Tina, you are a sweetheart. All right, so I am going to swing this camera around, and I'm going to show you this piece that I freaking love. It's called... So I have some issues with the lighting because I really have this spotlit, and it sometimes goes out, but it looks pretty good there. It's a little dark maybe at the bottom, but I can't tell if it's because of the captioning on here. So anyway, this piece is huge. It's called Choppy Day for Paddle, and it's 4 foot tall by 5 foot wide. And there's a lot of energy in this, a lot of motion, a lot of contrast between lights and darks and color spectrum as well, complements between blue and yellow and orange. And it's in that same German silver finished wood frame. It's a floating frame, and it's a big piece. So this would definitely be a statement piece, wherever it would end up. Kind of hope it's here for a little bit because I love it. And I want to see it for a little while. So I'm hoping that that didn't blow out too much. Yeah, so that's it. That's Choppy Day for a Paddle. And I wonder if anyone can kind of guess what was going on in my mind on that one. So this one, if you guys follow me on any social media platform, especially Facebook, Instagram, my studio account, I think it was on my studio account, I posted it, maybe on my personal one, but I posted a time lapse of me painting this. You know, I don't even know how long. It was probably a couple hours of, so I work alla prima, which means wet and all at once. And so when I'm painting a piece this large, I have to make sure that I have lots of pots of pre-mixed paint that is kind of in the spectrum that I think I want to use, because I normally paint from cupcake tins and have a palette set up in those, and it's just not enough paint, you know, for this big of a piece. I'm going to step back so that you can really see the scale of it. So you can see how large this piece is. So it's a lot of paint, and so I'm prepared with all of that, and then I just go at it. And it's really fun, it's really invigorating and so expressive. And so if you haven't seen that time lapse, I'll try to link it somehow, maybe in the comments here, I'm not sure how, but it's really interesting to watch me do this type of a painting. So anyway, this is the last piece of the show. So it's a shorter broadcast this week. And I just wanted everyone to know that next one will be on August 7th, which is in 4 weeks. And that one will be called, or is called, The Birds and the Bees and the Flowers and the Trees. So it's the one I was talking about last week, where I'll be doing florals and insects and some birds. I'm not sure yet about the birds, exactly what I'm doing with birds, but I like the way that the title sounded. I do have some trees. If you're familiar, there's a diptych that I've done recently of the Beach Forest Bike Trail. So there's some trees in that, and there will be lots of trees involved. So this work will be like the work I've done over the last few years when I've done florals and insects, where it's all paint, but I use a lot of paint markers. So I do line work on top of the painted image, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to be doing a number of those, and that is August 7th. So that's 4 weeks away, and just based on how much I love doing this and connecting with everyone, I might come up with something else in between now and then, like I did last week when we decided to do the wood panels. So maybe I'll do something where I can show you my illustrations that I do maybe for my comic books, or some of the stuff that I did to create my coloring books. Something, maybe 2 weeks from now. So watch for that, and we'll definitely get together maybe before August 7th. So does anyone have any specific questions about any of this? No? Yep. I'm sorry, I'm just going to scroll through this really quick before I hang up, just to make sure that I don't have to answer, or that I can answer something for someone. And I don't see anything. There's a lot of people watching. Hey, everyone. Oh my God. Okay. So there weren't any specific questions, but if you have any, feel free to text me, private message me, direct message me, however you want to get a hold of me. And that's it. So I did want to remind everyone that I am taking the links to these live feeds once that goes into Facebook Watch, and I'm taking those links and I'm putting them on my events page of my website. So anytime that you're thinking like, what did he say about that, or whatever, you can go back to these videos and watch them from my website. They click right through to Facebook, and you don't have to have a Facebook account, as you know, because I think some of you that are watching don't have one. So that's good. And that's it for tonight, I think. Be sure you check out ptowngallerystroll.com, because a whole new stroll went up tonight, and my version, or my section of it, is the painting that you saw called Swell. So there's a little video of that in there in the ptowngallerystroll.com. So each week there's a whole new stroll. So make sure that you watch those each week. And everyone have a great weekend, and thank you for tuning in. Bye.